Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, releases next week, so in this video I'm going to be doing my absolute best to go over pretty much everything we know about the game thus far. Now I won't be touching on story details because we don't really know a huge amount right now, and I don't really want to dive into spoilers just in case, so I'll be covering the core features like combat, customization, exploration and so on. What I will also say is that because there genuinely is so much to go over, please do forgive me if I have missed anything out, and if you think I have, then please add that stuff into the comments below. Firstly, let's talk about the combat and general gameplay. What I'm definitely glad to hear about is that unlike some games, we won't have to relearn abilities that we learned in Fallen Order, and instead Cal has clearly progressed in the Force and it really shows in his abilities. The main thing with combat though is that there are a total of 5 lightsaber stances in the game, and we'll start with 3. The starter stances are the single blade, double blade and dual wield sabers, and then the other 2 we unlock later in the game are the crossguard saber, and the stance that includes a single blade and a blaster. Now despite there being 5 stances, we can only use 2 at a time, so we will have to be strategic when we choose them. Not only will there be 5 lightsaber stances, but there will also be a skill tree for each stance that grants us new abilities, with 3 skill trees for force powers and 1 for survivability, totaling 9 skill trees in total, which is absolutely ridiculous compared to the 1 that we got in Jedi Fallen Order. With regard to abilities, we will now be able to throw lightsabers, use a Jedi mind trick on enemies to make them your allies, use a grappling device to traverse terrain, and so much more that's new or was in Jedi Fallen Order. Finally, on lightsaber combat, the highly requested feature of dismemberment will be in Jedi Survivor, which I'm really excited to see. Much like force powers and abilities having lots of old and new ones in Jedi Survivor, the same can be said for enemies, as there will now be a lot of Imperial enemies returning to the game among new ones, and many new non-Imperial enemies and creatures. To help us in combat, we will also have companions like Bode Akuna and Night Sister Merrin, and I think that is a really exciting prospect. Finally, on the combat front, we will also be able to acquire perks that we can apply to Cal, which will change him up in certain ways. Now, I'm not fully clued up on this feature, but Sammy Boy did make a video on it, so I'd recommend checking that out. But I do know it's a thing, and it will probably work a little bit like the Call of Duty perks, which should be very interesting. So that's a brief rundown of pretty much everything we know about most of the combat and relevant gameplay features, so I'll now go over additional gameplay and exploration stuff. Now the biggest complaint I had with Jedi Fallen Order is the fact that it was too linear in the open world level. Thankfully though, this seems to be solved as Kobo, the main planet in Jedi Survivor, has a vast open world explorable environment. Naturally there will be linear segments to it, and other planets will be more linear than others, but so far it seems that they've really resolved these issues that I had. As part of Kobo, there is also a main town called Rambler's Ranch, which will serve as the home away from home in the game, and what I love so much is that you can talk to NPCs outside the town and potentially go on other planets to bring them to Rambler's Ranch, which will improve the town's livelihood and overall experience. Additionally, a vastly improved seed planting system has been added to the game, where you can actually create your own garden and watch your plants grow rather than having them as little baby plants in a terrarium on the Stinger Mantis. It's also been said by Eckhart's that you can actually get fish to put in the Cantina fish tank, which is also really cool if that is true. Gardening and fish collection is certainly not something I was expecting to see in the game at all, but I'm definitely not going to be complaining about it because they're really neat features that just add so much more to the game. Like Jedi Fallen Order, seeds can be found by cutting down plants in the open world, which can then be used in the garden. Another big thing that I felt was missing from Fallen Order was side quests and just general side content. Survivor seems to solve those issues though, thankfully, as there seems to be a ton of side missions from NPCs, as well as side content like Jedi Chambers that test your force powers. There will also be combat rooms by the sounds of it, and force tears which will test your traversal skills. Now I'm hoping there will be more on top of that, but so far it sounds like it's a huge step up from Fallen Order, which I'm very pleased to hear. Finally, on the exploration front, fast travel is in the game via meditation points, which is great for those who hated all the backtracking in Fallen Order, and then you can also ride on mounts as well. Now the number of mounts haven't been confirmed, but thus far we've seen 3 colour variants of the Neko mount, so I'm hoping we'll also be able to see a good variety of other beasts as well as different colours for them. So that's pretty much everything that I could think of with regards to exploration, so I'll now go over customization features. As you may know by now, the customization in the game is absolutely madness. The lightsaber customization system from Fallen Order has returned with a new component type, a white kyber crystal, and finally a slider that allows you to change the aging and shininess of the blade according to Eckhart's. So the lightsaber customization is back, but it's much bigger and better than it was before, which is great to see. We'll also be able to customize BD1, Cal, and likely Cal's blaster in the same depth as the lightsaber. BD1 and Cal, for example, have 5 different components that we'll be able to play around with, and at the time of making this video we don't know anything about the blaster cosmetics, or even how the blaster gameplay will actually look, but regardless, Cal and BD1 certainly have a ton of different cosmetics that we'll be able to buy and find. Speaking of which, just like Jedi Fallen Order, we'll be able to go around and find crates in the open world that contain cosmetics, but with there being so many in the game, likely 300 or more different items, we'll be able to buy cosmetics from the shop like this one on Rambler's Ranch. How many shops there will be in the game I don't know, but I'm hoping there will be some on each planet, all of which will hopefully have different cosmetics to buy. Now, after originally scripting this video, we later received a brand new gameplay trailer for Jedi Survivor at Star Wars Celebration, and that showcased some pretty interesting stuff with regards to a speeder bike sequence, but beside that I didn't feel like there was a huge amount new in terms of gameplay stuff, and it was very much a case of new environments and story relating features from what I could see. So I'm pretty sure that is almost everything we know about Jedi Survivor outside of the story elements of the game, so I went over a ton of combat stuff, exploration, customization and other general gameplay features in the game. Now there is no doubt more that we just don't know about yet, and I'm really excited to find out more. And like I said at the start, if you think I missed anything then please let me know in the comments below, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel as I'll have tons of Jedi Survivor content for you around launch and beyond. That is it from me today though, thank you all very much for watching and may the Force be with you always.